All right, so to have this happen only 6 months into retirement was pretty devastating, but I was very lucky that I had good people around me and people to take care of me and limit the damage. So if you're wondering what happened, why I've got a skin head and this big scar, I had a subdural hematoma that happened nearly 30 days ago. And I'm just now getting to the point where I can get back in front of the camera. And you probably notice I'm talking a little bit differently, and it should be only a short-term effect. Hopefully none of this will be long-term and I'll be back to myself. But right now I have considerable brain fog is what I would call it. It's kind of, it's hard for me to concentrate, put sentences together and things like that, but I'm doing a whole lot better now. So at only 61 years old, you may be thinking, well, what in the heck happened? And a lot of this is because I didn't take the advice of my doctor. So I went in, it started about, 2 months ago, I started having headaches, and I'm not the type of person who has very many headaches at all. I have very few, as a matter of fact. We had been treating it with antibiotics, and it just wasn't getting any better. And she said, you know what? I think it's time we get some imaging done on your head and see what's going on in there. And I said, well, let's try one more round, because it did feel like it was getting a little better. And I was trying to save a few bucks because, CT scans are pretty expensive. Anyway, so we went on and we went to another round of antibiotics. And about 3 days later, I was changing out a sink in the kitchen and I bumped my head pretty hard, and it didn't really hurt. But what I noticed was when I tried to get back up, I had vertigo. And so I was crawling in and out from under this sink, and every time I would do it, I would, get down on my knees. I would have to sit for a minute and let the world quit spinning, which is what vertigo does. And when I went to come out each time, to grab a wrench or something, same thing. I would have to let the vertigo stop. Well, later that night, sure enough, I woke up with a really, really, really bad headache and bad vertigo. I couldn't get it to stop. And my wife, luckily, she was smart enough that she took me to the hospital right away. And we were having severe weather during the night, thunderstorms here in the panhandle of Texas. And they couldn't get me out except on a jet. So they went ahead and put me on a jet and flew me to Lubbock, Texas, and shout out to Covenant Hospital there in Lubbock. They did a great job. Anyway, they got me there and did a great job of diagnosing the problem and what it was. And luckily it wasn't a stroke. But anyway, to make a long story short, it took 5 different surgeries to get me stabilized. And that happened in about 7 days. And I don't remember much of what happened those first few days. Everything was just kind of a blur. But about 7 days later, they had to remove part of my skull and let my brain just kind of relax and go back to its normal position. And then after about 4 days, they put that skull cap back on. And that's what this big scar is from. And that seems to have resolved the problem. Of course, like I say, short term, I'm going to have some pretty serious brain fog. 5 surgeries. It was funny because the surgeon said that the whole floor has an ulcer dedicated to me from trying to get my brain reacclimated back to normal. And it feels like it is. Every day it's getting a little better. And within 3 to 6 months, I should be back to normal. And the last couple of CT scans they did looked really good and very positive, and everything seems to be working the way it's supposed to. So you may be wondering, well, what does brain fog look like? So what brain fog looks like is everything around you is a little slower, so obviously you can't drive. Your reaction time just isn't the same, so you're not able to drive. To walk around, I have to use a walker because and it has happened a couple of times, I've fallen twice and I actually had to go back to the hospital and get a CT scan done because of that. But what'll happen is when you're walking, if you start to fall, you know, you don't correct yourself right. So that's a big part of it. Another part is just the speech and clarifying things is kind of hard. You just really can't, your coordination with your hands just isn't quite there. And they have me doing quite a bit of physical therapy to try to correct that. So, long story short is listen to your doctor. Don't try to save money because they want to do a CT scan or something like that. If there's something wrong with your brain, if there's something wrong with your heart, you know what? Have those things done. Take care of yourself because it's the easiest way to ruin your retirement. So my whole summer, as I film this, I'm in the mid part of July. My whole summer is shot. I've got 3 to 6 months that I really can't do a whole lot. A lot because I can't get around well, a lot because I'm very fatigued, even if we went on vacation. You know, I've got about a 2-hour window where I'm pretty good to go right now. And they can't really tell me how long it's going to take to get back to a sense of normalcy with the fatigue, but they are saying 3 to 6 months before I'll be able to drive and do, you know, normal activities like that. So if you've enjoyed this video, please go ahead and hit the like button and watch this video next.